Hello everyone, my name is Jason. I am playing Thicknscaly, Devastation Evoker for the guild poptart corndoG. We just killed Sarkareth tonight, and I wanted to kind of reflect on how the fight went, how I played the fight, and some of the things that helped me, and just kind of go over some of the things I did right and did wrong. We'll start with the upfront basics. This is the exact talent build I ran when we killed the boss. Right side is very set, pretty much. You could maybe make an argument for volatility, but I don't think it's necessary. The add damage is not critical, and generally I think you're better off focusing on the other two phases. And on the left side, I think that there's room to pick up Ancient Flame, Scarlet Adaptation. Some talents like Source of Magic and Fire Within I think are... I didn't use this very well, so I don't even think I gained anything from it. I could have picked up one of these without problem. I tried Regenerative Magic on a number of pulls, but it didn't seem to be doing very well. I put it on our Evoker Healer, and it wasn't giving me good gains, so I switched to something else. But this is the loadout that I used. I was playing with a Verse File, and I'm playing with the Emerald Resonance. I was playing with the Crit File before this, but on the last pull of the night, the previous raid before this, died in the last phase. It didn't use my personal how I should have, and perished over 8 seconds, and so I banned myself from using that again. I knew we had the damage, and we very much did for this kill. So, anyway, the only thing I really focused on as far as gearing, since I knew that I dropped the crit file, that I wanted more crit, so I took the crit resonance. I also wanted to make sure that Verse plus 500 was my lowest stat, because that's what you'll get from the Vantis rune, and I didn't want the cloak users, the Voice of the Silent Star, to be sacking my haste. It is usually not the best thing to be sacking. You have it at that level for a reason. So I put a few haste gems in there just to make sure I had enough, but I have crit mastery gems over here. But as always, I suggest just simming yourself and coming to the conclusion. Haste is devalued on this fight to some extent, but you're still going to want a decent amount just to make sure that you can get those triple extensions every time. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the kill. I want to start, first off, I did not have my obsidian scales all the way cooled down for this pull. If I did, it would have looked a little cleaner early on. I'll talk about that when I get to the part where it would have mattered. But we start the fight. Mastery spoils. I've done my sims on this using this before pull instead of casting a Living Flame. And it supports using the spoils pre-pull and pulling with Dragon Rage. So that's what I'll do here. Now my goal here, you'll see me pop my obsidian scales here in the opener as well as the potion after that. I get my Eternity Surge. I want to get a full Disintegrate cast off before I gateway. And so I pop my obsidian scales, sometimes just depending on how quickly people pre-pull or if we're perfect on the timer, the second circle will land before I gateway. If you pop the scales there, it's never going to be a problem. As long as you get out before the third, you'll be fine. That's what I do here. I only get hit by 1, but I've been fine on pulls where I got hit by 2. Now here, it's at this much haste, you're going to find that your hover is going to cancel your next cast if you immediately cast a channel like Disintegrate, or even like a cast time spell at all. So what I recommend is looking for your first opportunity to instant cast and hover immediately after. And then you start casting again as soon as the hover animation is over. This will happen throughout every phase of the fight just because you're getting so much haste from the mini game, and for this kill I was getting PI as well. So if you're not getting PI, you probably won't run into this issue, but if you are, then look for that. So we'll just let this roll a bit. I am very liberal with the use of hover here. Like for instance, this one I arguably only gained 4 seconds of the useful hover time. But how I had this planned out is we have 3 evokers in our raid, and we were able to chain time spirals effectively enough that I was able to hover for each point of major movement in the fight. If you have fewer evokers than this, for instance, if you just have 1, then you're going to want to be more judicious with these hovers. The first one that I did was not a good one. You'll want to do it during that knockback, and then you can move around for this whole time while you're dancing with the bombs. If you get that, if you get the disintegrate line, you can just move up, but otherwise stay pretty close to the group. It does not go through you. And here we're just pushing for our reset. Now I did something very, very poor here. I didn't tip early, which is a mistake. As soon as you get your second set of spender empowered spells in, I recommend you tip there. You can tip one of the earlier spells too if you like, but I recommend using one later, because if you're running into a tight timer, which on this boss is very possible, then tipping the last empowered spell is going to do you more good than tipping the first or the second. So, and by tipping the last, typically it's Fire Breath, and that will get me the extend long enough that I can cast Eternity Surge without problem. This one, I defeat myself because I didn't tip early and I didn't hover early. So I try to do both before I cast Fire Breath, and I don't have time. And so I lose the Dragon Rage for no reason. You see, I hover here. I can't cast the Fire Breath until the hover animation is over. And by the time it is, the Dragon Rage is gone. So, recommend just, playing that a little smoother. I didn't even realize that I missed it. I thought I was perfect, but was not. So I played this as if I did. Send the Eternity Surge early. Very disappointed. Don't be like me. Anyway, here we used our healing potions there, and I would have used Obsidian Scales, but didn't have it. Used Renewing Blaze instead. Shouldn't be necessary. I like to save that one for the later Disintegrate, because there's more damage that happens afterwards. Right here, there's nothing that really happens. So, and we have Scales rolling through this whole thing. So, with the 3 evokers, I was able to get the hover there, and then we time spiral for this one as well. So far, we've used 2 of our time spirals, and that's all we'll use for this phase. I'm going to lose some hover up time here, but otherwise, it's just, we play it out normally. I got kind of lucky, didn't get any bad spawns until there. Hover here, that's the last hover of the phase. Once again, fewer evokers, just pick the times where you think you'll be able to get the most damage in, probably when you've just cast your empowereds. So I Zephyr here, and the Scales I would have Renewing Blazed as well, but used it earlier. Yeah, so just pump as much as you can. I try to do a full charge Fire Breath here, just because he's going to leave and gain his damage immunity. I think you probably don't have to do that, but it seemed fine. I didn't think it was too big of a deal either way. I time spiral right before we go down, grab a couple souls, try to stack up having grabbed 2 of your souls, and just play your minigame. During this, try to cycle with your Dispel, your Poison Dispel, to get to your crit or mastery spoils. You do not want haste. You have already a lot of haste. You'll never need it. So I was pretty pleased with how this played out. So I played for the early Essence Bursts, and putting them into Disintegrate. I used 3 Essence on Disintegrate. Probably don't have to do that, but once I got out of the Essence Bursts, I targeted the Big Ad and threw 3 Pyres out. Exactly 3, because that's how much Essence I have, and that would help cool down Fire Breath enough with the extra ads there, that I was never running into issues with the 3rd extension on this. I recommend doing that for this set. The set later in the fight, there's less movement force, so you shouldn't have as much of an issue there. You see my Fire Breath gets cooled down very quickly. I hover here just to keep it going. This part, you want to try to cast a Disintegrate right before the haste buff falls off. So if we go back just a second here, I cast it right before it falls off, and I let it finish. If you chain the disintegrate here, it's gonna be slower, so you're gonna lose some time. Just some minor optimization stuff. We get a time spiral here, which is pretty helpful, but I didn't really need it this pull. I was very safe on the timer for this Dragon Rage. Help my priest friend so he doesn't have to move. And otherwise, you're just playing normally. Throughout most of our prog on these next ads, I was disintegrating into the big ad as soon as he lost his healing buff, which in this pull was immediately. But I stopped doing that on the last couple pulls because it felt like it would be better just to pyre while there were so many ads up. And then once it was down to just 2 is when you can start disintegrating. I think I played this pretty well. The Shattering Star spent on with the blue buff is not what you want, but I think otherwise it was fine. I liked how I spent the essence before. So same thing here. This ad needs to die very quickly. He's gonna go immune before it dies. So it's good to do efficient cleave here. Pyre is your friend early on, but then yeah, you just want to be doing as well as you can here. This is the highest damage part of phase 2. Look to use your scales here. Possibly your renewing blades as well. And then once you're here, you throw out some Emerald Blossom, Verdant Embrace, stuff like that. Help your healers. For this, I found it was very helpful to focus on getting the first 2 souls very quickly, and then you could run around and play the minigame. Try to cycle to the correct trinket again while you're down here. Master your crit once again. You do not need haste. You will never need haste. You come up right on time. And then this whole phase is just maximizing the uptime, especially while you have this haste buff. And once again, when we get to the end of it, you're going to want to time your disintegrate for right at the end of the buff, just so you get the maximum time on that buff. Right here, cast again, let it finish, boom. I'm tipping my 3rd Fire Breath here, and I am so safe on the Dragon Rage timer. This was definitely one of my best pulls of the night for this Dragon Rage in particular. It was never in question whether I would get it. Okay, and then I just come out of Dragon Rage with 2 Essence Bursts. I'm Zephyring for these 2 dot targets, specifically them. That's why I moved out to the side there. They take reduced damage from the dot itself and from the knockback if you Zephyr them, so it's really helpful. Look for some off healing here, help your healers out, and then we're back on the boss. So you're playing pretty normally here. I'm not playing the cleave very much, but I do double charge the Eternity Surge because it's so free. Anything to help a little bit, you know. So that guy is going to go break the rocks with the spell word. It's an important timer on this one. The spell word's key because if one of the bomb targets gets the soak, then they can successfully do it if they get a spell ward. But if they don't, then your bomb target is going to have to be your backup game is going to have to be very strong. They're going to have to know what to do and everything. And it's hectic. So earlier here, I did a rescue on my priest friend. This is the scariest part of the phase, right here, because you have people going down with the bombs, putting the raid dot on us. And you have 4 stacks of Oblivion. By far the scariest part of this phase. Use your personals, use your everything here. I didn't pop Renewing Blaze until too late here, or if at all. I'm bad, so do better than me. I did pop Scales, good for me, but didn't use anything more valuable. Could have used the Renewing Blaze, so just keep that in mind. Help your healers. So this next soak is sacrificed. The next knockback target, it's going to choose one person to get the dot and dispel. They're going to go to the left and knock us to the right. That happens very quickly, so just be ready. Look out for circles that are out there. You're just baiting bombs, and then we are living until we go down. This is the second hardest part of the phase, and it is very spooky. Look for the swirly. Our friend is here. Just help heal if you can. That's a good spot for a health potion. And once again, try to collect your souls early. I didn't time spiral there. I should have. I should have time spiraled for the group before we went down. But I fucked it up and did not happen. So don't be like me. Be a little better. Ended up getting lucky on the mastery trinket after he came out, but easily could not have been the case. So we do that soak there. Just step out to the side and you are blasting. This boss died very quickly for us just because everyone was alive and we were having a great damage pull. So he died about 12 seconds earlier than he needed to, and we would have had Dragon Rage for that entire time, so it definitely would have helped my damage out if we kept it going a little longer. But happy that that's how it went. Finally we put it together and got a solid kill. Overall, I had some times during progression where I felt like I was messing things up a little bit. Not too bad, but just could have been better here and there. But I was pretty pleased with how I ended with the damage, how I was doing it, what my priorities were, and I do think that Evoker brings a lot to the fight. So was really glad to get the kill, stoked for the team, and I think that's it for me. If you ever see me online and have any questions, you can feel free to hit me up. I don't really stream, but happy to weigh in on something if you have anything for me. That's it for me. You all have a great night.